Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für die...
Ecológicos y deportivos.
¿Usted se cree el Robin Hood antioqueño?
De ninguna manera, pero de todas maneras es un...
Esa fue la situación que encontramos nosotros. Y esa situación no debe ser extraña.
It's really easy to look at these clips and be like, oh my god, that's Hitler, the evil guy. Oh my god, that's Pablo Escobar. He's not good. Oh my god, that's Fidel Castro. Without ignoring the fact that at the time when they had just come onto the spotlight and started becoming public figures, they were viewed like any other person. See, for most people, Hitler, for example, was a man who understood the struggle of the common German after the devastating loss of World War I that left their country completely in shambles. So much so that one piece of bread was worth like 1 trillion, so somewhere around there, I don't got exact numbers. At a certain point in time, Escobar was viewed as a Robin Hood-like figure, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, notoriously known for building several playgrounds and I think a couple neighborhoods, with what he claimed was business money, but what we now know was coming from his drug empire. And for Fidel Castro, the people viewed him and favored him at one point, and they were the reason why he came into power in the first place, as they viewed him as a good alternative to the previous regime before he took power, the Baptista regime. The people they fooled with their continuous facade did not ever see the punch coming. Is that it doesn't matter how many eyes are looking at a certain person. At the end of the day, anybody, and I mean anybody, can put up a good front and hide their true character. At least for a little while. You see, people can only put on a facade so long. A facade takes effort. You have to think, you have to use time, you have to make appearances. It's hard. Underneath the facade that a lot of us put up ourselves is our true self, aka our real character. And unfortunately, to see the real character in other people is extremely difficult, to say the least. If you're not very attentive and you don't know what to look for, you'll be practically lost and introducing the wrong people into your life for the entirety of it. Now, if only there was a guy in a Gengar costume who could help you. Polly, commence intro sequence number 255. Thank you. Alright, my Sigma boys and girly pops, we're gonna talk about something very important. Now, you've heard it all before. You have these fucking teachers going all like,
character is the attitude you hold in times of struggle. Character is something you build over struggle and years of constant pain and misery.
And yes, I'm eating a carrot, by the way. I'm not weird, I promise. You know, to all those definitions you've heard over the years growing up, I tell the people who have told you this, shut the fuck up. They don't know what they're talking about. Character is a bit more complicated than these cringe-ass inspirational quotes. Character ultimately boils down, in the definition defined by the laws of human nature, as something deeply ingrained into your psyche, that determines the actions you're going to take, and in some kind of way forms your destiny or your future. A quote from this guy who I know nothing about, character is destiny. It's basically the part of your psyche that's operating and pushing all the buttons and pulling all the strings and whatnot. And the good thing is we can define character into 4 simple layers. The 4th one's debatable. The 4th one we're not gonna talk about the 4th one yet. The 4th one's a bit complicated. We got 4 layers and we're gonna talk about it.
Is that dick good? Yes, kid. How good is that dick?
Alright guys, first layer of characters, really simple. Just genetics. Some people are more prone to depression, while other people are more prone to being intentionally greedy. You know, that's it. It was obvious. Genetics obviously plays a factor in who you are. That's pretty... I shouldn't have to explain that. Obviously, genetics plays a part in how you act and who you are. Alright, now obviously, again, upbringing is going to play a huge part in who you are and how you act in terms of your character. More specifically, the ages of 4 to 10 are going to be really important years. These are when your brain is the most malleable, and the experiences you have carry a lot of weight. It's for this reason we have such things like child soldiers in this world. Children are just very manipulatable and very easy to influence. If your parents paid particular attention into raising you properly during this time period between 4 to 10 years old, you should not have any major issues. But if they didn't, this is where we get into those sweet mommy and daddy issues. Oh yeah. For funsies, we're going to run through a little bit of the possible potential outcomes that can come from different parenting styles. These are mostly going to come from the famous psychoanalyst John Bowie. I don't know how to say his last name. Just know it came from him, and it boils down to 4 basic archetypes, and there's several other archetypes that stem from these archetypes. We're only going to cover the main 4. We're not going to go deep. The first parenting style is relatively the healthiest out of the other 3, and is free/autonomous. This consists of a parenting style where they let their children go off and explore and, figure out the world for themselves, but also are carefully paying attention to their children's needs and making sure they're not getting too hurt along the way. The second parenting archetype is the dismissive parent, aka my daddy left for milk archetype. And basically this boils down to a parent not giving their children enough attention and interaction, or just not giving it to them at all. This can lead to children having a feeling of abandonment and a feeling of having to fend for themselves and kind of fighting against the world just to even exist. So, it leads to a lot of emo kids, you know what I'm saying, them goth girls and all that good stuff. The third parenting archetype is enmeshed/ambivalent. Sometimes parents' love can be suffocating, almost to the point where you gotta say, Mom, stop fighting other parents because I'm losing my mini league baseball game. It's mini league baseball. Other times it feels like you can't even get the time of daylight with your parents, and makes it very difficult to feel acknowledged. This kind of bipolar parenting style where they're all over you and they're like, and then they pull back and they go cold for some reason because of their own anxieties and problems that they deal with mentally, can give the child an often early sense of independence and make them feel like they're taking care of their parents and not their parents taking care of them. Parents with a lot of emotional immaturity, often without willingness, go towards this type of parenting style. In my opinion, the fourth archetype is the most damaging for development on children, and that is the disorganized parent archetype. You see, the disorganized parent creates a chaotic environment for the child growing up. And this chaotic environment is ultimately a reflection of the inner issues they have, as well as early childhood traumas that they developed, and now they're putting it onto their children. It's this kind of chaotic environment they create that sends a lot of mixed signals to the children and makes them often feel like nothing they do is right. And on top of that, it creates a lot of emotional problems that are very intense later on for the child dealing with this. It's important to remember that these first 2 layers are extremely hard to figure out how they're affecting you in current time if you don't do extensive research.
I bite my tongue, it's a bad habit.
With the power of the first layer and the power of the second layer, they come together to form the third layer.
The third layer is simply just the repeated actions and strategies we take throughout life. In particular, when we are dealing with times of stress, looking for possible avenues of pleasure, or just dealing with people. Now, as you get older, these habits may eventually change through other experiences that you have within your teens and so on. But in general, there is going to be set patterns that are distilled in your mind. It's important to note that not all the habits you gain from these first 2 layers are going to be bad. For some people who just have better genetics and as well as a better upbringing, they could gain positive habits like cleaning the room, addressing people's emotional needs, and overall just being kinder to everybody else. For people who are not so lucky and suffer a lot from these first 2 layers, they could fall into things like drug use, alcohol addiction, and like the previously mentioned before, habit gambling. It's for this reason that being unable to accept how you act and what you do repeatedly ultimately impedes your vision of who you truly are as a person and will hold any progress you're trying to make in your life. And this is where we get into the 4th layer of character. This layer, at least in my opinion, is probably the most important if you're someone out there who's trying to look at your character and turn yourself into the person you want to be. The 4th layer is at least what I like to call the you're not a fucking idiot layer. See, on some level, As we've established, character is the culmination of the continued habits you have as a person. And it's because of that, at least on some subconscious level, all of us are aware of our continuous habits and actions that we repeat over and over again. This begs the question, what happens when someone's aware of continuous negative habits? Let's say like drinking or continuously getting back with evil exes, stuff like that. In an ideal world, people would address the issue, see what's up, solve it, move on, become a better person, and overall develop stronger character. Unfortunately, that is not the world we live in. The fourth layer is people's tendencies to look at their weak habits and turn the other way, and instead try to hide them from everybody else in the world. If someone is extremely scared of a certain task, majority of the time they'll hide it and be like, I ain't scared of this motherfucking shit. If someone gains the habit of being extremely sensitive, they'll often hold it in. We've all seen it before. The alcoholic who claims he's not an alcoholic. The person who keeps getting back with the same toxic ex over and over and over again, but lies to themselves and says he's changed. If it's any good news, you're watching this video now, so it'll be at least a bit easier to fight that instinct to just hide whatever negative traits you hold.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind.
What happens when you make a habit of hiding your bad habits? You see, when you continuously go with the instinct to just hide your weaknesses and all your bad habits, they become subconscious. And eventually, you just start doing them continuously without ever even noticing. When a negative habit gets to this point where you just keep doing it without even noticing it, well, it's the equivalent of cancer going terminal. To explain to you the seriousness of how much you won't even notice the greatest of habits when it reaches a subconscious level and you do it subconsciously, I'll give you an example. Here is my example. I want you to hold an imaginary steering wheel in front of you and pretend like you are driving along the highway. For this next part, I'm going to need you to close your eyes and really imagine it. I apologize in advance. Now, as you're driving along in the highway, you see the right lane open, and you need to adjust the right lane to make it to your location on this highway. So, I want you to grab this imaginary steering wheel and motion it how you normally would when you're driving along the highway to get and adjust to the right lane. Have you done it yet? Now, the correct way you motion a steering wheel when you're turning into the right lane in a car is you're in the middle, you turn to the right, and then you leave it in the middle. Right? Wrong! You fucking idiot! You fell for my trick! The actual real way that you motion the steering wheel when you're turning into the right lane is you turn it to the right, then you turn it in the middle, then you turn it to the left just as much as you did when you turned it to the right. This highlights the importance of treating bad habits that you notice with the utmost attention and respect, because eventually, if you keep treating them like it's an everyday thing, the same way that you treat turning into the right lane in your car as an everyday thing, when it comes down to actually get down and understand the process of what you're doing, you won't know and will make mistakes the same way that you turned the steering wheel wrong in my experiment. And by not knowing the exact process of what you're doing, you're making it all the harder to fix the bad habit in the first place.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
You need to be able to look at your weaknesses objectively and the bad habits you've accumulated from the first 3 layers and not ignore them. It's this way that we can all become stronger as people and see the best version of ourselves. It is also through understanding character in the 4 layers that I've defined to you that maybe we can use it to prevent people who are like the first 3 examples I stated at the beginning of the video to get in the positions they were in the first place. I am aware of the fact that I am making that sound so easy, yet depending on what you're tackling, it could be extremely difficult. If you can address your weaknesses and not even make this 4th layer a factor in your life and just keep developing good habits and addressing your weak habits, you'll avoid the fate of looking at your life when you're at the end of the road, maybe sitting on your deathbed and saying, wow, I really could have done more if I had not let this continuous habit exist throughout my life and addressed it. If you are young, maybe below the ages of 30, a lot of people don't think about that. There is a lot of people in their 60s and 70s who have literally let one habit, and it could just take one, affect them their whole lives and prevent them from living the life they wanted. And by the time you reach that point, your time is already spent. There is no going back. And with that being said, you guys as an audience now have a choice. You can either watch this video, like and subscribe, obviously, because you gotta
give my subscribe, boy.
You as an audience now understand the means to tackle a bad habit. You look at its genetic history, if it stems from any bad genetics you may have gained. You look at your upbringing, if your upbringing put it on you, and it'll be one of the two. You'll look about how you've developed the habit in relation to the first or second layer, and you'll look at the fourth layer, how you've been hiding it and lying to yourself that it exists in the first place. As you address all your weak habits, you will ultimately start adjusting your character and become the person you want to be. If you watch this video and choose not to do so, despite me explaining you the means on how to adjust your bad habits and therefore adjusting your character, you have no one else to be mad at when you're sitting on your deathbed and you're at the end of that long road and you did not live life the way you wanted. And with that being said, Paulie, play my outro on these suckers. Play my motherfucking outro. Play my motherfucking outro, man.